Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all my brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Roots of Islam channel. April 2023. As millions of Muslims worldwide began the holy month of Ramadan, Nigeria's entertainment industry was rocked by news that would divide families, spark national debates, and challenge everything people thought they knew about love and faith. Mercy Aigbe, the Queen of Nollywood, who had built her career playing Christian characters, who had attended church for over 4 decades, who had raised her children in the faith of her fathers, stood before cameras and uttered words that would change her life forever. Inshallah, my new name is Haji Amina Mercy Adeoti. In that moment, one of Africa's most beloved actresses had chosen love over tradition, faith over comfort, and truth over convenience. But this wasn't a sudden decision born of impulse or pressure. This was the culmination of a spiritual journey that had been years in the making, a transformation so profound that it would force an entire nation to question what they really believed about conversion, commitment, and the power of authentic love. Mercy Aigbe's story begins in Benin City, Edo State, where she was born on January 1st, 1978. As the second of 5 children to Pa Aigbe and Mrs. Abisola Grace Owoduni. Her childhood was steeped in traditional Christian values, attending St. Francis Primary School where morning prayers and religious instruction were as routine as reading and arithmetic. Even as a young girl, Mercy possessed an unusual combination of beauty, intelligence, and spiritual sensitivity that set her apart from her peers. Her family noticed her ability to memorize Bible verses with remarkable ease and her genuine desire to help others, traits that would later make her conversion to Islam seem both shocking and, in retrospect, inevitable. The seeds of her future spiritual journey were already present in this young girl who questioned everything, even when those questions challenged the very foundations of her upbringing. The move to Lagos for her secondary education at Maryland Comprehensive Secondary School in Ikeja marked the beginning of Mercy's exposure to Nigeria's incredible religious diversity. For the first time in her life, she found herself in daily contact with Muslim classmates who prayed 5 times a day, fasted during Ramadan, and spoke about their faith with a passion that both intrigued and challenged her Christian worldview. While other students might have seen these differences as barriers, Mercy found herself drawn to conversations about faith, asking questions that revealed a mature spiritual curiosity unusual for someone her age. Her teachers noticed that during religious studies classes, Mercy was often the first to ask about Islamic practices, not from a place of criticism but from genuine intellectual curiosity. This pattern of seeking understanding across religious boundaries would define her approach to faith for the next 25 years. After completing her national diploma in financial studies at the Polytechnic Ibadan, Mercy's true calling became clear when she enrolled at the University of Lagos to study theatre arts. The decision puzzled some family members who had expected her to pursue a more traditional career path, but Mercy had already begun to understand that her purpose lay in storytelling and emotional expression. During her university years from 1997 to 2001, she was exposed to literature, philosophy, and dramatic works from cultures around the world, including many from Islamic traditions. Her professors noted her particular fascination with stories that explored themes of sacrifice, devotion, and spiritual transformation. One lecturer later recalled that Mercy's final project examined how different religious traditions approached the concept of submission to divine will, a topic that seemed to captivate her imagination and would prove prophetic in light of her future journey. Mercy's professional acting debut in 2006 with the Yoruba movie Ara launched her into stardom, but success brought unexpected spiritual challenges. As she played various characters, many of them deeply religious Christian women, Mercy found herself increasingly uncomfortable with what she perceived as the superficial way faith was often portrayed in Nollywood. She began questioning whether her own Christian practice had become more about cultural expectation than genuine spiritual connection. Colleagues noticed that Mercy would often engage Muslim crew members in lengthy discussions about their faith, asking detailed questions about Islamic practices, theology, and the daily experience of being Muslim in a predominantly Christian industry. Her first marriage to Lonra Gentry in 2013 temporarily redirected her focus to family life, But the spiritual questions that had been stirring within her continued to grow stronger with each passing year. By 2017, cracks in Mercy's first marriage had become undeniable. What the public saw as a glamorous celebrity couple was actually a relationship marked by fundamental incompatibilities and, according to Mercy's later revelations, domestic challenges that tested her faith to its limits. During this dark period, when tabloids speculated about the reasons for their separation, Mercy found herself turning to prayer more than ever before. But not just Christian prayer. She had begun incorporating meditation practices and readings from various spiritual traditions, including Islamic texts that friends had shared with her. The breakdown of her marriage forced Mercy to confront hard questions about forgiveness, patience, and the nature of divine testing that she found were addressed with remarkable depth in Islamic teachings. Her divorce was finalized in 2017, but the spiritual journey it had triggered was just beginning. The man who would change Mercy's life forever entered her story in 2021, though their connection had deeper roots. Kazim Adeoti, a successful filmmaker and devout Muslim, had known Mercy professionally for years before their relationship became personal. What struck Mercy immediately wasn't just Kazim's kindness or professional success, but the way his Islamic faith informed every aspect of his life. She watched him pause meetings for prayer, observed his patience during Ramadan fasting, and witnessed his commitment to charity and community service as expressions of his religious devotion. For the first time, Mercy saw Islam not as an abstract theological system, but as a lived reality that produced the kind of character, peace, and purpose she had been seeking her entire life. Their courtship became an extended conversation about faith, family, and the possibility of building a life together, despite their different religious backgrounds. When Mercy announced her intention to marry Kazim in 2022, the reaction was explosive. Family members who had supported her through her first marriage's difficulties now found themselves confused and concerned about her choice to marry a Muslim man who already had a wife. The concept of polygamy, perfectly legal and religiously sanctioned in Islam, but culturally challenging for many Nigerian Christians, became a focal point of family discussions that were often heated and emotional. Mercy's mother, Mrs. Abisola Grace Owodunni, struggled to understand how her daughter could consider joining a family structure so different from their Christian traditions. But Mercy had already begun to see beyond cultural prejudices to the spiritual principles underlying Islamic marriage. She spoke of Kazim's commitment to treating both wives with equal respect and love, his transparency about his responsibilities, and the support she had received from his first wife, who welcomed her as a sister rather than viewing her as competition. What many people didn't realize was that Mercy's conversion didn't happen overnight when she married Kazim. Throughout 2022, as she adjusted to life as a second wife in a Muslim household, she found herself naturally drawn to Islamic practices. She began observing how the family's daily routine revolved around the 5 prayers, how Ramadan brought the household together in shared sacrifice and reflection, and how Islamic principles of charity, honesty, and community service were lived out rather than just preached. Mercy started reading the Quran, initially out of curiosity about her husband's faith, but gradually with growing personal interest. She was particularly moved by the Quran's emphasis on social justice, care for the poor, and the dignity of women as partners in faith rather than subordinate beings. Islamic scholars whom Kazim introduced her to were impressed by the depth of her questions and her genuine desire to understand Islam on its own terms rather than through the lens of Christian comparisons. The turning point came during Ramadan 2023, when Mercy chose to fast alongside her husband despite not yet being Muslim. The experience of abstaining from food and water from dawn to sunset, while initially challenging, became profoundly spiritual for her. She later described feeling a sense of spiritual purification and mental clarity during those fasting days that she had never experienced before. The community aspect of Ramadan, gathering for iftar meals, attending special prayers, and engaging in increased charity, gave Mercy a taste of the Islamic community she was being invited to join. On one particular night during the last 10 days of Ramadan, as she listened to Quran recitation at the local mosque, Mercy felt what she later described as a spiritual awakening so powerful that she knew her life would never be the same. That night, she told Kazim that she wanted to formally embrace Islam, not just for him, but for her own spiritual fulfillment. The actual conversion took place in April 2023, just before the new Ramadan began, in a simple ceremony at their family mosque, surrounded by Kazim's family and close Muslim friends. Mercy's decision to announce her conversion publicly during a Ramadan lecture she hosted with her husband was both brave and controversial. Wearing a beautiful white hijab, her face radiant with peace and conviction, she spoke the Shahada, Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulallah. The moment was captured on video and quickly went viral, sparking celebrations in the Muslim community and concerned discussions in Christian circles. Mercy's choice of the name Mina, meaning precious gemstone in Arabic, reflected her understanding that she was embarking on a journey of spiritual refinement. The Imam who presided over her conversion later said he had rarely seen a new Muslim display such genuine understanding of the faith's fundamental principles. The aftermath of Mercy's public conversion was swift and intense. Social media exploded with reactions ranging from congratulations to condemnation, with some former fans accusing her of betraying her heritage and others praising her courage to follow her heart. More painful were the reactions from some family members and longtime friends who felt personally rejected by her decision to leave Christianity. Her mother's initial heartbreak was particularly difficult for Mercy, who had always been close to her family. Christian colleagues in Nollywood wondered if her conversion would affect her ability to play Christian characters, while some Muslim fans questioned whether her conversion was genuine or merely for marital convenience. The scrutiny was relentless, but Mercy's response revealed the depth of her conviction. In interviews, she spoke with calm confidence about her decision, demonstrating knowledge of Islamic principles that impressed even skeptical observers, and making it clear that this was a spiritual choice, not a social convenience. As Hajia Mina, Mercy embraced her new Islamic identity with remarkable authenticity and enthusiasm. Her social media accounts began featuring Quranic verses alongside her fashion posts, and she started attending Islamic classes to deepen her understanding of her adopted faith. Her approach to hijab became a topic of fascination for many Nigerian women, as she demonstrated how Islamic modest dress could be both stylish and spiritually meaningful. Mercy's Nollywood career, rather than suffering, actually expanded as she began taking on more diverse roles and even started developing projects that explored interfaith themes and the experiences of converts. Her marriage to Kazim strengthened as she became not just his wife but his partner in faith, and their joint charitable activities began reflecting Islamic principles of social responsibility. The transformation was so complete that even former critics began acknowledging the positive changes in her demeanor and outlook on life. Today, more than a year after her conversion, Hajia Mina continues to navigate the complexities of her new identity while maintaining her successful acting career. She has become an unofficial spokesperson for interfaith dialogue in Nigeria, using her platform to encourage understanding between Christian and Muslim communities. Her relationship with her mother has gradually healed as Mrs. Owodunni has seen the peace and happiness that Islam has brought to her daughter's life. Mercy's children from her first marriage have adapted to their mother's new faith with surprising maturity, and she speaks often about teaching them to respect all religious traditions while practicing her own Islamic beliefs. Her success in balancing her career, family responsibilities, and religious obligations has made her a role model for other Muslim women in the entertainment industry who struggle with similar challenges. As we conclude this remarkable story of transformation, it's clear that Mercy Aigbe's conversion to Islam represents something far more significant than a celebrity changing religions. Her journey from Benin City Christian girl to Lagos Nollywood star to devoted Muslim wife and mother illustrates the power of authentic spiritual seeking and the courage required to follow one's conscience even when it leads to uncomfortable places. But here's what makes Mercy's story truly extraordinary. Recent reports suggest that her influence has extended far beyond her immediate circle. Sources close to the actress reveal that several other Nollywood figures have begun quietly exploring Islam, inspired by the peace and purpose they've observed in Mercy's life. Additionally, whispers from the film industry indicate that Hajia Mina is developing a groundbreaking project that will address interfaith marriage, religious conversion, and family harmony in ways that Nigerian cinema has never attempted before. The woman who shocked a nation by choosing love over convention is now preparing to use her art to bridge the very divides that her own journey initially seemed to widen. Her story is far from over, and Nigeria is watching to see how this converted queen of Nollywood will continue to use her platform to challenge hearts, change minds, and perhaps transform an entire industry's approach to faith, family, and the courage to be authentically yourself.